So Stephanie, what are you doing?
Well, I'm sorting the garden huckleberries. Every once in a while I come upon one that doesn't really seem to be quite fully ripened yet. If I come across those, I set those aside in my junk pile, and I go through each and every berry. I handle them, and I'm feeling for any stem part that was left on. I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but there is a little piece of stem. It's like a little fuse on a cannonball, and I yank that off, and this is my pot. If you can see that, that's the pot that's going to go onto the stove.
I like that fuse on the cannonball. That was really good.
Yeah. I think I saw that in Congress one time.
Oh, okay.
And I'm very happy. I'm sitting next to the wood stove.
Ah.
If you're looking for me this winter, you can pretty much find me here. We're almost done. Oh, maybe another handful or so. And then this part will mercifully be done.
Well, there is the great pot of plenty. And that will go to the wood stove. Eventually. We've put all of the garden huckleberries that Stephanie cleaned and destemmed and selected the best and sorted out the bad ones or the immature ones, put them in this pot, and we'll add water. We've added water halfway, imagining halfway up the pot, and that will come to a boil, and we'll boil them for as long as it takes till they're tender. It could be 15 minutes, it could be longer, but you'll find out later. Good morning. It's Sunday morning. We are going to be making our garden huckleberry hand pies. These are the original seeds. Anyway, and to make the hand pies, we need pastry dough. I'm using a Martha Stewart from her book, Pies and Tarts, to make a pastry dough for pies and tarts. So we start off with 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and I fluffed it up in the bag with my whisk to loosen it up before measuring. I have 2 cups already in here, and here's the 1/2 cup. And so that's done. Now, 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm sprinkling that around. What's next? 2 teaspoons of sugar. And here's my handy 1 and 2. You're wondering what these brown things are. These are vanilla sticks, and I keep them in my little jar of sugar. It gives a nice flavor both to any sugar you're going to put in coffee, for instance, or anything else. It's very faint. Anyway, so that's it. I'm going to whisk this together, and then I'm going to cut in 2 sticks of unsalted butter. I am pre-cutting the 2 sticks of butter so that I can kind of sprinkle them all around, and it'll make it that much easier for me to cut it in. And I'm going to use a method called rubbing in, where you're actually squeezing and rubbing the butter as quickly as possible, because your hands might be warm, into the flour. I decided to add the pieces of butter as I go. I will tumble the flour over them, because the whole purpose of separating them is so that it's easier to blend in. But if they start sticking together again, that will be counterproductive, as you can imagine. Looks like a lot of butter, doesn't it? That's why they taste so good. Now, I'm kind of rubbing the butter in. Some recipes tell you to do it this way. You're just sort of smushing the butter for just a second to get it to blend with the flour. And eventually, and you've probably read this many times, you blend the butter with the flour until it's like coarse meal. Of course, no one knows what that really means. I guess I'm imagining oatmeal, maybe? That would be coarse. You have to be patient because this can take a while. And if you're doing this in the summer, some people find that they have to take their bowl and go and put it in the refrigerator for a few minutes because the butter is just getting too soft. I once saw Julia Child making a pâte brisée, as she used to say all the time, and she would put it in her Cuisinart and just pulse it and watch it until it was the consistency of the famous course meal. But I'm doing it the really old-fashioned way, just to be stubborn. Well, I think that this is now something like coarse meal or oatmeal. There might be a few big lumps, but that's okay. I'll give it a couple of more rubs as I find them. But I'll be adding 1/4 cup of cold water, which I will drizzle. There's a piece of butter. There, work that into the flour. All right. I think that will do. Okay, 1/4 cup. Where are you? And then I'll start to toss that together. There. And it says, you'll try to pack it, see if it will come together as a unit, and if not, you can just add a little bit more of the cold water. In the summertime, I used to fill a cup of water and put it in the freezer for 10 minutes, and that would take care of that. But we have well water, and it's very cold down there, so at this time of year, it's easy. Trying to gauge if this will hold. I think it will. I think that's pretty good. So, I'm going to estimate half to make 2, as some people will say, 2 hockey pucks of this pâte brisée. I'm going to put each one on a piece of parchment because this will chill for half an hour. Let's see if this one holds together. I think it will. If I add too much water, I think it'll be pasty and not light and wonderful. I found in the last recipe that half of this recipe created 4 hand pies. And so I always had something left over. And this looks like the amount that I had left over. So I'm guessing those are just right. I'm just going to make the last bit of this. All right, I'm getting every last bit in this bowl. I'm going to put this away from me. Put a little bit of this on the deck. There. And you can see how it holds together. I did not add extra water. So there's a perfect hockey puck. Hockey puck number 2. And I got 3 out of this double recipe. but only because I'm making hand pies. And I know I don't need as much as the recipe makes. So now that I have these prepared, I'm putting 2 of them in a Ziploc freezer bag, and they'll go to the freezer, where Martha tells us they will be good for up to 3 months. So there. And I'll write a description on here so I can identify it in the freezer. This one I'm going to use today for the hand pies that I'm making now, and this gets a half an hour is good enough in the refrigerator. So here's to the refrigerator, and the other 2, when they get their label, will go to the freezer. Okay. Hello, I'm back. Now this was not in the freezer because it wasn't necessary, but it was in the bottom of the refrigerator, and I can feel it's firm. So, we're ready to go with our first hockey puck of pâte brisée. Yesterday I tried rolling the whole thing out and then cutting out to make the hand pies. And then I realized, no, I know it's going to make 4 nice thick hand pies. So what I will do is cut this into 4 equal quadrants. That looks good. And I'll roll each one out into a round. And then we will build our hand pie. Ooh, I have a nice heavy, from my neighbor Linda, this fabulous rolling pin. Wow, the weight of this makes it a lower effort. Well, I took one of the quadrants and tried to roll it out, and I did roll it out to some extent, but it was fracturing, and I know that I didn't want to add any more water when I was mixing this, so I'm just going to let it warm up a little bit more, and the next thing I can do is warm this up until it is more malleable and have it more of a ball or a little hockey puck, but warm it up a little bit so that I can roll it out without having it split. I know it will heal, especially in the baking. Well, let's see if that helps. It's a little better. It's still pretty cold, and that makes it somewhat difficult to roll out. Well, we have a round. That's a generous description. Ooh, and here I have my garden huckleberry filling that we canned. So I'm going to take some of this, if I can find my little spoon. Hold on. And I'm going to, this is an egg wash. It's an egg with a little bit of half and half, and beat it up. And I'm painting around the edges of this. And you'll see why in a sec. As I was rolling out this round from the little knob, I said, I wonder why they call this a rolling pin.
Because it rhymes with bowling pin.
Drum roll. That is an idea. Well, I'm going to put some. The mistake I often make is that I put too much filling in because I think, oh, look at the size of this big thing. But when you'll see in a minute, especially if I've already put too much in. I'm rolling this over, and I'm pressing down And when I put it over, I left a margin from the lower edge so that I could roll it up and over the top, which makes it a lot easier to seal it. And that one I didn't need because I left some extra space. All right. And you can use a little fork. Well, here are the edges being pressed down a bit with a fork. You might like it because you like the pattern, or some people will pinch it the way you'd pinch around the outside of a pie, which is also cute. So now I'm going to take, before I do this, I'm going to poke some little air holes in here, wiggle it around. I'm using a shish kebab skewer. So that's that. And now I'm taking the egg wash and my little brush. Oh, it's a mini utility brush. What is this? 1 inch. And I'm painting this all over the top, and of course especially at the seams. And I'm going to take a little bit of nutmeg powder. This is just my way of having some fun. You don't have to do that, because you can also do sugar is what they usually do. All right, now I will sprinkle some sugar, which is sticking to the nice wet egg wash. It'll make it more of a pastry finish. There. I just wanted to add, I'm going to heat this up a little bit so it's more malleable. The garden huckleberries are not very, very sweet the way blueberries are. In fact, that may be why a lot of people don't want to use them. But that's why I do like them. And so I add a little bit of sugar when I'm doing the canning, and I taste it, and when it's just about as sweet as I can, like it, then that's it. So the other thing is I can put a little sugar on top, and it's not going to spoil anything because there's not that much sugar in there. But I like the sort of tart, sweet flavor of a garden huckleberry. But you'll have to try it yourself and come up with your solution. So I'm going to do one more. And here's the little knob for a little hand pie. And, the nice thing about the hand pies, you can make them, as generous as you want. It's like the muffins. When we made muffins, you noticed that metal, old, maybe 100-year-old muffin tin from the wrought iron or, cast iron, they weren't very large. And in those days, people did not supersize everything. And they didn't overeat either. And so, but today, people like those jumbo muffin pans for jumbo muffins. And anyway, I make small ones. And I make small hand pies also.
Right. If Stephanie were making them, no doubt they'd be twice the size.
Well, for fun, I can put these two together, the last two knobs, and see what size that turned out to be. And you decide. Okay. I don't like putting a lot of flour down. I really don't want any more flour in this pastry dough, so that's why I done it this way. It's amazing how this dusting of flour just disappears. Now we're doing the egg wash around the outside. All right. And I had some room to spare in the last one. Maybe I'll be a little more brave and more generous for this pie. And if it leaks out all over the place on the baking sheet, well, you'll see it and decide whether you think that's good or not good. There. I'd guess that's 2 tablespoons. And, oh, guess what? I'm going to put a little bit of nutmeg on the inside. Keep experimenting. It's fun to see the effect. I don't think it needs more sugar on the inside. So there we go. I'm going to leave a little lip. And bend outside and over. No leaking yet. There's my pie reference. I just thought I would try it. It could work. You might like that better than the fork technique. Okay, 1 of each. All right, now then. Egg wash. Whoops, no. First the holes. Boy, this thing works really well. You could also think, well, maybe I'll wait till I get this on the baking sheet before I put the last bit of egg wash. That's not a bad idea. There's another one. And some sugar. This time just sugar on the outside. The nutmeg is on the inside, if you remember. If you're keeping score. Okay, that's 2 done. Now remember, we're talking about the size, and you might think these are kind of skimpy, so I think I'm going to put these 2 together and make a larger hand pie. And you'll see how you like that. So this is going back together for another... Got to be careful here. The more you handle the dough, the tougher it gets, but sort of dread this. I don't like that it's just so... You see people on TV rolling out pie dough, and it's all perfect and smooth, and it doesn't break. This reminds me of my trying to make a perfectly round chapati, or Indian flatbread. But that's a totally different technique that I learned, or tried to learn, from an Indian friend. And it's amazing. You'll enjoy it when I get into the dead of winter with some Indian cooking. Now that looks, let's see, how thick is that? I don't want it too thick. Oh. Just a little bit more. Okay, now part 2, step 2, egg wash around the outside. Of course, I didn't tidy it up the way I did last time, so I'll just go through the motions. It's pretty quick, actually. That's not so bad. So in the short time that these dough pieces have been on the deck here, they've softened. Much easier to deal with. I'll remember that next time. To let them soften a little more. All right, here we go. Now we have the jumbo size. Stephanie, you can tell me when to stop loading the garden huckleberries in here. This is going to be a big one. Well, that's the limit,
Okay.
don't you think?
Yeah.
I'm trying to guess, what the fold over will be. Well, would you like nutmeg on the inside or on the outside? On the inside. Okay. Now this is nutmeg that I've milled into a really fine powder. We don't need sugar. So, over we go. Remember to leave my little margin. Ah, see? It's leaking. It's all right. It will all be delicious. And it won't be too unsightly. Bring in the big guns. Ah, much better. Go back to the fork. Till you get to the end. And then you can use the old pinch technique. There. This is next. Wow. That's a big one. And I think I will do... there. Big fellow. This is the fun part. I think this is what makes them come out kind of golden and very pretty. And of course we have to add the nutritional factor. Every bit of protein counts here. All right, put that aside. And a little sugar. Tap, tap, tap. I like it especially on the parts that have the thick dough edge because it makes it almost like a little cookie. Dough itself doesn't have sugar in it and it doesn't have that much flavor. These knobs are hot and the oven is 400 and these will go in total of 15 minutes, but halfway through we're going to spin it around because this is the hot side. Ah, if you're wondering about the temperature, now it's 400. Well, there's the timer. Let's have a look. Ooh, they look nice and brown and golden. Well, there they are, the little fellows. Oh, we have the three bears. Or large, medium, and small. There you go. Well, that's pretty nice. All we need now is maybe a little ice cream on the side. So thank you for joining us in this hand pie creation. And we'll see you on the next one.